Hey guys, and welcome back to another video where this time things are going to be a little different, and I am using my voice again after a dozen videos without it. Introducing Fruit Tier List, the first of many tier lists that I will do on my channel if you are interested in that. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. But just a quick disclaimer before this video starts, you may have noticed that some fruits like the durian, for example, aren't included in this tier list. And the reason why is because I have never tried them before, since it is very rare to see them in my country. But anyways, let's continue on with the video. Now, I know that if you have watched this channel before, this may be a little confusing for you, but in my last JP News video, by the way, I'd recommend checking that out, I mentioned that I was gonna start changing up the content of this channel, so this is the first step of doing that. But anyways, the first fruit of the list is a red apple. This one is pretty basic, but I know that there are various types of it, so it's kind of hard deciding where to put this, but I guess that I will put it in A tier, considering that one of the types of red apples is my favorite out of all of the apples. Now, next up are yellow apples. These ones are honestly okay to me, not as good as some red apples, but still pretty good. So, there you go. Now, green apples, I think these are the worst kinds. No offense to people that like these apples, but I just don't enjoy them. But they're still okay though, so I'll put them in B tier. Next up are bananas. Now, this is also a pretty basic fruit, so it also has an average taste. But since I was a little kid, I had never really enjoyed them. Although, I do feel like that with age, I am slowly starting to like them more. So, I'll put them in B tier for now. But I will admit that I like bananas on some pastries, being banana bread and pancakes my favorites. Orange. Easy S tier. No commentary needed, just simple, plain S tier. It's the goat of all fruits, and it's also my favorite color. And this is also one of the only fruits which I have never seen any YouTuber put below S tier ever. Now, pear. Pears are mid, honestly. I don't know a single person in this world who has pear as their favorite fruit. It's just too simple and plain. It's like a green apple but kind of worse. But still, I don't have anything against it, so it's going in B tier. Since this tier is literally the average tier, I have never seen anybody who uses C tier for average stuff. It's always B tier because C tier seems kinda too low for that, since some people just simply ignore the existence of E tier. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Grapes. Oh, everybody's gonna come at me at the comments for this. I know, but these things are not S tier, guys. They are overrated. I swear to God that on every single fruit tier list that I have seen on this platform, grapes always miraculously end up on S tier. I mean, I can understand that from eating this for the first time, they may seem like the most sweet thing you have ever eaten in your life, but it's not that great. When you get used to that sweet taste, it kind of just disappears. And don't make me talk about grapes with seeds, because those ones are even worse. Call me picky in the comments, call me whatever you want, but just hear me out, okay? The most known advantage of this fruit is that you can just eat the whole thing without worrying about seeds or anything. But that's a lie for somebody who's got a small throat like me. I've definitely seen people before who can swallow a whole grape, but I just cannot do that. Or at least I can't do that with our grapes. At least the grapes that I've eaten before, they are huge. They are just too big. Maybe in America they are smaller, but here in my country they are normal sized. And for me, normal size is big. I'm not just gonna risk throwing up or choking with one of these. Besides, what is the point of eating the whole thing if you can't taste it like that? Just saying. Dark grapes are literally just a worse version of the green ones. The difference between the two is that green grapes are normally crispier, while the dark ones are softer. Or at least from my point of view, that's the conclusion I've come to. Or maybe I'm just insane, I don't know. But either way, after all of this rant, I've come to the conclusion that grapes are an A tier. Yeah, I still like them anyway. So just ignore all of the complaining I just did like 5 seconds ago, alright? Although, dark grapes are going in B tier. I've got to say that. And I'm gonna put it over here. Oh yeah, I'm not putting these in a very correct order, I know. But at the end of the video, I will do some adjustments. So don't get too mad just yet. Now, watermelon. Who doesn't like watermelon? This one is one of the best fruits in the entire world. It's definitely up in the top 5 along with orange. Enjoying a nice watermelon in mere summer is one of the greatest feelings you can get. Melon. I know a lot of people who don't like melon. But I honestly don't understand why. It's basically watermelon, but with more substance. It's not as liquidy. It's more solid, and I like it. So I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier. It's almost at S tier, but it just doesn't have that watermelon feeling, that refreshing feeling like watermelon. Now, this. I am not too sure about this, but I think that this is called a cantaloupe in English. We at Portugal, we call this meloa, but I know that there are multiple types of melon-style fruits, so I'm sorry if I didn't get this right. But it's okay. Not at the level, it's not quite at melon or watermelon level, but I'll still put it in A tier over here. Now, blueberries. I don't mind eating this, but it's not too good, but it's not too bad. Sometimes it can be very sour, and other times it can be very sweet. So it can be a little bit of a gamble. So I think I'm gonna put them in B tier for now. Now, blackberries. These are underrated. Now, considering raspberries, normally people put them like in an S tier, like this, and blackberries in an F tier. You see, this isn't okay, guys. Blackberries are way better than raspberries, and I have a very valid argument to prove that point. Tell me one single time you have found a blackberry that naturally tastes bitter. Probably never, because it basically doesn't happen. Or if you did, it was just probably harvested too early. While with raspberries, let's say you buy a box of 12 of them. When you open it, you will realize that more than half of them will already be expired or will have mold in them. And that is just not worth the money. And I know that me, as a non-adult, am not in the position to say something like this, but as a stonksman myself, this is not JP approved. And if you still don't believe my point, take this. Do even the raspberries that are not moldy or rotten taste good? Because at least for me, most of them will still taste bitter, and some of them even have a soggy texture to them that I don't like at all. So in the end, only about 1/4 of the raspberries you eat are actually good. So I'm gonna put raspberries in D tier. And blackberries are gonna go to a solid, let's say, A tier for now. Alright. Maybe I was over-exaggerating a bit previously, so no offense to the people that actually like raspberries, because I can understand why you like them so much. Because the rare ones, the very rare ones that are actually in a normal state, can taste very good. I just don't think they are quite at blackberry level, even so. Now, next up is lemon. Now, I know that this sounds weird, putting in the tier list along with lime, but they're fruits, and I have tried them, so I don't see any reason not to put them over here. But of course, you won't eat an entire lemon by yourself. You normally squeeze it on food, or stuff like that. But as a 7-year-old, I used to lick these very frequently, and honestly, it's not that bad. I will put it in a solid S. Just kidding, it's not that good. What kind of psychopath would eat a whole lemon along with lime? But lime, maybe lime is a bit better, so I'm gonna put it like this. See, C is for citrus. So 90% of citruses are gonna be here, except for orange. That one is the goat. Next up are cherries. I don't have much to say about these, so I'm gonna put them in a solid A tier for now. Grapefruit. I don't even need to say anything. Does anybody really like this? Alright, coconut. Oh god. All of the Americans and Hawaiians are gonna come after me after I make this tier list. I am actually so scared to do this right now because I am gonna sound like an outcast to 90% of my viewers. I don't like coconut, but I have never tried coconut water, so I could still give it a chance. But for now, it's gonna stay in the C tier. Sorry, I just don't like the how do you say that? Wait,
Consistency.
Oh, that's how you say it. Consistency. Alright, I just don't like the consistency of coconut. And it honestly doesn't have much flavor. Oh. Next up is the goat of all the goats.
Huh?
Fig. Now, this fruit ain't very common in most of my viewers' regions, but these things are awesome, and they are super underrated. Every time I see one of those more complicated fruit tier lists, they always put fig in like an F or E or D tier because they're just too scared to try the whole thing. Most people just squeeze the insides and eat them, but coming from somebody with experience with figs myself, you can just eat the whole thing. You don't need to be picky or scared to eat it. It's not that bad. Come on, just try it. But now, I put two types of fig in the tier list because they do have a difference in taste. The red ones are like the green ones, but with a sweet aftertaste. So they're automatically better. But my favorite part about this fruit has to be the peel, or skin if that's what you want to call it. I love the crispy consistency and the soft seeds on the inside. Unlike grape seeds, these ones are actually good to eat and not sour or bitter at all. These ones actually feel good to eat. Just like the passion fruit, which I will talk more about later. Now, next up is avocado. Probably not a lot of people know that this is a fruit, but it is. An immediate S tier. You can do so much stuff with it, like guacamole. You can also put it on bread, a lot of stuff. Now, kiwi. The taste, I am completely fine with the taste of kiwi. The only problem is that it is extremely sour, and sometimes I just can't handle it. But it's a good fruit, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Now next up is papaya. I don't enjoy this fruit very much, but it's okay, so B tier. Now dragon fruit. This one is quite an exotic fruit. I tried this for the first time in Asia, so it's not very common to see it around here, and normally it's very expensive. But it's pretty good, and it's one of the most nostalgic fruits for me. So I'm gonna put it in S tier, above orange. Now, alright, how is this fruit called again? are called Physalis, which is pretty similar to how we call them in Portuguese. But I wouldn't recommend you trying them because they are very expensive and the taste is just not worth it. And these things are pretty small. So if you want a substantial meal, I wouldn't recommend Physalis. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up, strawberries. I mean, who doesn't love strawberries? These things are sweet. Not much else to say about this. So I'm gonna put them in A tier. Let's be honest, every single berry is a good A tier at least. And as a red velvet enjoyer myself, I can understand why people like berries. Just ignore raspberries, alright? These ones don't exist. Next up is a Persimmon. Now, I couldn't quite find an image that represents this better, so I had to get this one. This one is not the ones that I usually eat. The ones that I eat usually are softer and not so tender. But honestly, I don't enjoy it, so I'm gonna put it in D tier. You know what? I'm gonna be a little nice to raspberries, so I'm gonna move them up to C tier. Next up, pomegranate. I know that a lot of people dislike this fruit, mainly because of the wood-like consistency, but it's actually pretty good, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. I originally was thinking about putting it in C tier, but then I thought to myself, is this really fair? It tastes pretty good. So, yeah. Alright, next up is mango. Now, this one is an easy S tier. I mean, who doesn't like mango? It's sweet, maybe you can get it easily stuck on your teeth, but other than that, it's a pretty good fruit. Now, next up, pineapple. This case is a pretty similar one to kiwi, so I'm gonna put it right next to kiwi, but I honestly enjoy kiwi a little more. Although I do enjoy pineapple cake. If pineapple cake was in this tier list, I would put it in S tier. But I am considering pineapple in general, so it's gonna stay over here. Next up is nectarine. This one, if you are wondering the difference in between this and this, then this one is a nectarine, this one is a peach. A nectarine is basically a peach, but without that fur consistency on the outside. And I am gonna put this in a good A tier. And I enjoy peaches a little more than nectarines, but it ain't much of a difference. So here you go. Next up are plums. These ones are pretty okay, so I'm gonna put them in A tier. Apricots. Sometimes these can be a worse version of plums, so I'm gonna put them at the top of B tier. And last but not least, we have passion fruit. I also don't enjoy this very much, so I am sorry to any passion fruit enjoyers out there, but I'm gonna put it at the top of C tier. Now, I know that it looks like the tier list is done, but wait, we ain't done just yet. I forgot about one particular fruit, which I am gonna display on screen right now. And that fruit is tomato. Yeah, guys, tomato. Come on. Tomato is a fruit, just admit it.
Huh?
Everybody knows that tomato is a fruit. You just don't want to admit it. I just know it. Accept it. Just accept it. But anyways, this is an obvious S tier. My favorite food is pasta, and pasta without that sweet tomato sauce is depression. So, there you have it. Oh yeah, And one last thing, let's do some adjustments. Alright, so, first of all, let's adjust the F tiers. There's nothing to adjust. The D tiers, there's nothing to adjust. Alright, the C tiers. Let me see. Alright, so, from worst to best, I think that would be fair to put lemon at last, lime second to last. Yeah, this is correct. Yeah, I think that the order is pretty good now. But, there you go. There you go. I think that passion fruit deserved that. So I, gave it up a notch. Alright, now. Alright, I think that this is great. Alright. Honestly, Pear is mid. It doesn't have much taste at all, so I'm gonna put it over here. Alright, let's put it over here. Alright, now the B tier is organized correctly. Now, next up is the A tier. Actually, I think that this one is already correctly organized. And lastly, we have the S tier. Alright, and there you have it. My version of the fruit tier list. Now, remember that this is all just my opinion, so no hate in the comments. We all deserve to have a different opinion. But if you would like to share yours, then I'm fine with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have a nice rest of your day, and see you next time. Play the outro.